You ever start reading a book thinking that you know the premise and then it takes a slight turn in a different direction that you weren't expecting? Yep, that was me with this book. This is Such a Fun Age and it's Kylie Reid's debut novel. This video is going to be broken into three parts. Well, three and a half. We'll start with a little background on the author and why it's important to this story. Then we'll discuss the general synopsis and why it's so much more than what's on the back of the book. Next, we'll go into detail about the story and talk about the main and secondary characters, as well as talk about the upcoming movie adaptation. And finally, we'll go into my overall thoughts, and you'll find out if I recommend this book or not, and if so, to whom. So let's get into it. Such a Fun Age is Kylie Reid's debut novel. She was born in Los Angeles, also my hometown, raised in Arizona, and in 2019, she graduated with an MFA from the Iowa Writers Workshop. She now lives in Philadelphia with her husband, who is a white man, and you'll see how that detail becomes important when we talk about the book and its characters later in this video. She too, like the main character, worked as a nanny for about 6 years in New York City, but underscores that she and the main character are very different people. The book centers around a character named Amira. She's a 25-year-old typist and babysitter. She babysits a 2-year-old girl named Briar, and Briar is the older of two daughters from a woman named Alix. Okay, her name is actually Alex and she changed it a couple years back, and for the purposes of this video, we're just going to call her Alex. The book is set in Philadelphia and opens with Alex giving a call to Amira at around 11 p.m. Alex is interrupting Amira, who is at a birthday party for a friend, and asks if she can come by and look after Briar since there's an emergency in the home that Alex needs to tend to. So Amira leaves the party, she comes by and picks up Briar and takes her to an upscale supermarket to kill some time. She knows that Briar likes to walk around the aisles and look at the displays, so this seems like the perfect venue to take her. While in the store, Amira is confronted by a Karen and a security guard of the supermarket. They accuse her of kidnapping this child since Amira is a black woman and dressed like she's going out to a party because she was at a party, and Briar is a white toddler. They assume that something is amiss. The entire event is recorded by a white male bystander who later becomes a bigger part of the story. This event unleashes a reckoning that deals with issues of race and class and gender. And all of this is just the back of the book synopsis, which on its own would lead you to believe that this book is about existing while black and captured on camera. But there's so much more to this book that shows that it's about existing while black, period. It's somewhat a coming-of-age story. Amira is done with college, but still slightly directionless and not sure what to do with her life. And she's seeing everyone around her figure it out and achieve things in their careers. So let's hop into some detail about the main and secondary characters here. And just a warning, there are a lot of spoilers here. So I'll leave a timestamp somewhere on screen to let you know where to hop if you haven't read this yet or if you just don't want the spoilers. Something that I find really interesting here is that a lot of the characters in the book have friend groups that mirror them perfectly. This is very much what tends to happen in real life as well. We surround ourselves with the people that we want to be like or that we once were like. Amira's friend group is incredibly loyal and supportive. They also, unfortunately, give her some terrible advice sometimes. Alex, the mom that Amira babysits for, is an entrepreneur and very much seats herself in the white savior role all throughout this book. Sometimes it's slightly more subtle than others, but it is definitely an undertone of her character. In the beginning, I found that I was really trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but pretty quickly my feelings started to sour on her. She is so overly focused as not being seen as racist, to the point that she pulls out the old line, "I have a black friend, let me show you." And this one black friend that Alex has ends up mirroring back the ugliest parts of Alex. There's a scene at a Thanksgiving dinner where this black friend, her name is Tamara, pulls the ultimate transgression to a black woman, touching her hair without prior consent. I unfortunately have had this happen to me multiple times in my life, and I can tell you that it is incredibly violating regardless of the race of the person who's doing the touching. Just like how we don't approach pregnant people that we don't know and rub their bellies, is the same way that we shouldn't go pushing our fingers into the hair of Black people, or any people for that matter. That was one of the cringiest Thanksgiving scenes I'd ever read. Another person whose friend group we see is reflected is Amira's boyfriend, Kelly. Her relationship with him evolves over the course of the book and really takes us along with them. He started out by being the bystander in the supermarket who recorded the event, and as you remember, is a white man. I found that both him and Alex pushed so hard to prove how woke they were, and tried really hard not to be seen as or identified as racist. They both made a concerted effort throughout the book to make friends with Black people. And this desperation leads them to what I would consider an obsession over Amira. They want to know everything about her. They want her approval. They want to be liked by her. And throughout the entire book, the one thing that is clear is all Amira wants is a full-time job, dependable health care, and financial security. And what I love about this book is that it forces us to re-examine our existing definitions of feminism. I highly recommend the book Hood Feminism by Mikki Kendall, as it touches on all these topics. It talks in depth to these points, like how food insecurity, access to quality education, safe neighborhoods, a living wage, and medical care are all feminist issues, but they are broadly ignored in conversations on what feminism means today. And just to go back to Alex for a moment, I find that after reading this book, white women are horrified at how awful Alex is. But Black women are like, I know that girl. I used to work with that girl. I used to live next door to that girl. It unfortunately is nothing new. Her character and her personality are part of a larger systemic issue and not just about her being inherently bad. And us Black women, we see this all the time. We live this. We feel this on a regular basis. We encounter people who sometimes are truly trying to help, but they end up jumping through hoops trying to ignore the broken systems that put people in the place they're in to begin with. There's so much meat packed into this 290-page book, which I feel really lends itself well to a movie adaptation, and I'm so excited about it. Shortly after the book was released, Lena Waithe picked up the rights from Kiley Reid for film and television. And while I'm sure it's going to be absolutely incredible, I really hope that they cast a dark-skinned Black woman to play Amira. I feel that it's truest to what's been written in the book and would also carry a lot more weight. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. Reid's writing style is incredibly accessible and really enjoyable. She writes about everyday life in vivid detail and has a way of capturing people in a very lifelike manner. She touches on topics that are heavy and thought-provoking and things that made me think in a larger context, but it's all done in a very light touch. They didn't feel heavy to read in the moment. She does a great job at examining the type of racism that is often considered well-mannered and therefore often overlooked. And I feel as though this book invites the reader to do a bit of introspection and consider the ways in which subtle racism might manifest in their day-to-day lives. Such a Fun Age is a clever title as well because it can apply to multiple characters in this book. It could apply to Briar, who's a toddler and discovering the world around her. It could apply to Amira, who is working to figure out her life and her future. It could apply to Alex, who is a mom and entrepreneur in her 30s. But it could also apply to that moment in time. This book was set in 2015, and if you remember, we had a Black president then. This book does a great job at raising discussions around race relations, stereotyping, classism, essentialism. But it also encourages us to consider how it is that we live our lives while existing in a society that tells us what we should be, where we should be, and how we should portray ourselves. I love this book and I would absolutely recommend it. I think it's best for people who want to better understand how subtle and nuanced racism can be and how exhausting simply existing while Black can be while living in America. This is one of the easiest 5-star ratings I've given to a book. If you're interested in 3 more books that I rated 5 stars and seeing me react to 1-star ratings of those books, you can check out this video right here. I've not read the 1-star reviews for Such a Fun Age, but I think I'm going to save myself the heartache. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.